Good morning, class. Welcome to yet another session of online classes wherein we upload YouTube videos and explain in detail the lessons. As these are challenging time due to outbreak of a devastating pandemic, we are not able to attend school regularly like we used to. All right. So, if you remember in the previous class, I finished explaining lesson number 1 and 2 from both English honeysuckle text and honeycomb as well. No, sorry, English honeysuckle and supplementary text to be precise. Now, a poem called The Kite is due for explanation. I'll be explaining that later on. To begin with today's class, I've thought we shall pick up a new lesson called Taro's Reward. Okay, now it's a new lesson, lesson number 3. We will try and cover the explanation of this lesson in 20 minutes time as much as we can. The rest can continue in next class. All right. So without any further delay, let's begin explanation. So what is the name of the lesson? Taro's Reward. Like you see, Taro is the name of the person. Name of a person. Okay. Reward. What is reward? Reward is usually something given to you if you do, a noble work or something that is considered good. Okay. So let's introduce the lesson before we read. Let's see what do we have here. So this is a story about a thoughtful and loving son. Thoughtful. Who's a thoughtful person? What is the meaning of thoughtful? One who's kind, considerate, and thinks before doing things. Okay. Thoughtful and loving son. Loving. What do you mean by loving? One who loves and takes care of his parents. Okay. So this is a story about a thoughtful and loving son. He works hard to fulfill his parents' wishes and gets some unexpected help. So, this son, who's quite thoughtful, kind, and considerate, works really very hard to fulfill. What do you mean by fulfill? To accomplish or to complete. Clear? To fulfill his parents' wishes. His parents had few desires. Clear? They wanted these and that. So, Taro would be completing or fulfilling all his wishes, and in his bid to fulfill wishes he'll be getting some help, some unexpected help. So let's read the lesson to find out who Taro is, what his challenges were, and what sort of help or reward did he get as the story progresses. Okay, so without any further delay, let's begin. What is the name of the lesson? Like I mentioned, it's Taro's Reward. Okay, some people pronounce this as Taro also. I'll just call it Taro. So let's see. Here we are, para 1. Clear? I'll read the para first and then I'll explain you. Clear? Listen to the explanation very carefully. The words, the way I pronounce the words and all, try to repeat them. Okay, as pronunciation drill. So let's begin. A young a young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. All day long he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. This made him sad. This made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to give his old parents everything they needed. Okay. So, what does the first paragraph say? It makes an introduction about Taro and the kind of work he did, where they lived, and all. Clear? So, his name was Woodcutter. He was a young man and he lived with his family, father and mother. His family had three members: himself, his father, and his mother, right? So where did they live? They lived on a lonely hillside. Lonely means a place where not many people live. Clear? They live nearby hill, not nearby hill, hillside only. So he used to, go to forest to chop wood. Chop means to cut wood, and this was his profession. He used to cut as much wood as possible, and only by cutting wood he used to fulfill all the desires that his parents had. Okay, so. Um, Even though he was very hardworking, he could not fulfill many of his parents' wishes, and this was something that used to make him unhappy, sad. Okay, so we came across one new word, chopped. I've already told you the meaning of the word chopped is to cut. Okay, all right. So now let's get along with the explanation. There are two reading first. Just give me a moment. So one evening, we are here. One evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. Clear? It whistled through the cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, "I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good." Okay. So what happens one day as the family was sitting an evening on their in their cottage. Okay, not cottage. It was a hut, small house. Clear, which was not built very properly, not cemented and all. Huts, right? Not very well furnished house and all. So one evening as they were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind blew. Okay, it whistled through means it kind of creaked inside through the halls or cracks of the hut, and everyone felt very cold since it was winter. Clear? His father remarked, "I wish I had a cup of sake. I would feel excellent." Okay, because it was very cold. Now, what is sake? We have to know here. The meaning is given here. Okay, I'll just clean this up. See, sake is a popular Japanese drink. Sa is pronounced like fa in father, and k rhymes with way. Okay, so fake you can call it, but we'll just read it sake only. So I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart a good. This is what his father said. Okay, he wanted to drink a sip in a cup of sake. It's an old um, it's a popular Japanese drink. He thought drinking this could make him feel much better. Okay. So now let's move on to the next para 3. So we found we came across two new words in para 2, right? Which are the words? The words are whistle and sake, and cracks as well, 3 to be precise. So what is the meaning of the word whistle? Whistle through? It means to pass through with a whistling sound. Okay, whistling. Whistling, right? Whistle. Cracks, narrow gaps or opening. Sake I've already explained. Okay, so let's move on now. 3. This made Taro sadder than ever. He was sadder than ever, for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. Okay, so Taro, after hearing this, became sadder than he was ever, because sake was one very expensive drink. Okay, so he began speaking to himself. He said, "How do I earn more money? How do I get a little sake for my poor old father?" He decided to work harder than before. So, with this assumption, what happened is he made up his mind to work harder than ever. He thought, by working hard, he could maybe afford to get some money by which he can get his father some sake. Okay, a cup of sake to be precise. So let's read the next para now. 4. We are here. Next morning, Taro jumped out of his bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed, and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry. His mouth was dry and his sorry about that. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought. If only he was as warm as I. And with that he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he could earn to buy sake to warm the old man's bones. Okay, so what happened? He made up his mind to earn more money, right? So with this belief, he woke up earlier than he used to the next morning, and he went to forest and started cutting, wood. He started cutting more and more, and as he was doing some sort of activity, his body started feeling this warmth. He was feeling warmer, and as he was feeling warmer, he took off his jacket and was cutting more and more tree wood. Okay, and at the same time he was feeling thinking, if only his father felt as warm as he was. Okay, and with this thought, the secondary thought the second thought strike his mind. He once again was firm enough to chop more tree in order to have extra money to buy sake for his father, as his father had earlier asked him for the same. Okay, so now let's see. Let's move on to next para 5. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What happened? Suddenly Taro stopped chopping, stopped cutting. What could be the reason? Let's find out. What was that sound he heard? Could it be, could it possibly be rushing water? Okay, he heard some sort of sound as if water was splashing and rushing through some sort of tunnel. Okay, so he was wondering what could it be? Could it be sound? Could it be rushing water? Taro could not remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream. Remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hand and he ran in the direction of the sound. Okay, so as Taro was thirsty due to overwork, what he did was he rushed towards the sound, towards the stream, or seemingly the sound which seemed to his ears like a flowing stream. Alright, because it was very pleasant sound, and as he walked hard, he was feeling thirsty as well. He thought, maybe there is some water. This route was his usual route. He had never seen flowing water or stream in the route that he was operating. But today he heard this unusual sound and he will be following the same sound. Okay. Now let's move on to next para. Just give me a moment. So we are here, paragraph 6. Yeah. Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall behind a rock. Kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it sake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. Okay, I'll just explain you this one. See, so as soon as Taro reached the source of this stream, rushing sound, as soon as Taro reached the source from where the sound was emerging, what he saw was a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock. Okay, rock, right? Big stones. Clear. So he knelt down at the place and cupped. Uh, Sorry, I missed the para. Yeah. So he knelt down at the place, and cupped a little in his hands and started drinking. Okay, cupped, right? Like the position shown in the picture. See, he knelt down a bit and then cupped to quench his thirst. Okay, the meaning of the word cupped is also given here. What is the meaning of the word cupped? A little in his hands, took some water in his hand as if it's poured in a cup. Okay, so what did Taro do was, as soon as he reached this water source that was emerging from behind a rock, he cupped his hand and started drinking water. And as soon as he drank this water from this source, he felt very satisfying. The reason behind was it tasted like sake. Okay, the expensive drink which his father was mentioning in the beginning of the story. It tasted like sake, and he thought maybe because he was very tired, he was feeling that way. So he tasted it again, and the taste was same. It tasted like sake. He kept doing it again and again, but the taste remained same. Now he was assured that it was nothing else but sake. Okay, so now his dream would somehow be fulfilled. How? Let's find out by reading the next paragraph. So Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden. We have read this. Now let's read para 7. Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. So he brought in a pitcher. This woodcutters and all, whenever they are on their way towards cutting tree and all, they carry a pitcher in order to fill it with water whenever or wherever they find source of water. Okay, so now since he had found the source of water, what did Taro do was, he filled it with sake and he rushed back to his home. Why did he do so? Because he had promised his father, not promised, he had made up his mind, that he'll work harder than ever and make his father, treat his father with warm drink of sake. Okay, and now that he had achieved this dream of his, he was trying to hurry back home to surprise his father. Okay, the old man was delighted with the sake. He offered his father the drink called sake, and the old man was delighted. Delighted means absolutely happy. Clear? So, after only one swallow, after only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. So, the old man was so happy, he was so happy that after drinking just one sip, what he did was he started dancing in happiness, in amusement. He started dancing in the middle of the floor. Okay, to express his joy, what the old man did was he started dancing. All right. So he started dancing. What does it show? It expresses. It shows that the old man was extremely happy on drinking. After drinking sake. Okay. Let's move on to next 8. We are here. C8. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Tero's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. See, this is where things will go wrong. How and in what manner we'll see. Okay. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left home in a hurry. She left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. So this is where the problem will start. Clear? This is the epicenter or beginning of problem. That afternoon, what happened? A neighbor, neighbor, right? We all have our neighbors, people who live nearby our houses, in different houses, of course. So Taro also Taro's family also had their neighbor. So what happened? The same evening, a neighbor visited Taro's family. Okay, she was a lady. Okay, and Taro's father, what did he do was, as a matter of courtesy and respect, he offered this lady a cup of sake, their expensive, delicious drink. Okay, he offered the lady a cup of sake. So what did this lady do was, she was so excited after drinking. She drank it happily and she was, supremely, extremely happy. Now, sake, like I've said, is an expensive drink, and Taro's father, Taro's father offered her this drink. Okay, after drinking, she was so impressed. She was uh, absolutely happy, like I've mentioned. And in as time progressed, what happened was Taro's father ended up telling the story about this sake and all to Taro, to the lady, and Taro also, happened to mention casually about the source from where he kind of extracted this drink called sake. Okay, now this lady was cunning by nature. What happened was, she drank sake exquisitely in a very happy mood, and before leaving, what she did was, she did nothing but went out of the house in a hurried manner, and then she spread the news that Taro had, somehow, somewhere, you know, got a source from where sake could be extracted quite easily, and then she was going to create a lot of she is going to create a lot of problem for her. What will be the nature of the problem, what she is going to do exactly, is what we are going to follow up in the next class. Okay, not only this, we will also continue, you know once lesson explanation is over, I'll give you a brief drill of the exercises that are here. Okay, so with this we come to conclusion of today's class. I hope you will watch, enjoy and learn. If you have any problem pertaining to explanation of this lesson, you can always discuss with me on Google Meet. All right, thank you all, thank you.